Hi folks, so I'm ready to do my stitch binding for my signature. Here are the things I need. I've got a brad awl, I've got my pegs. You can use bulldog clips, so I've got a bit of a thing about pegs. I love wooden pegs. I've got my scissors, a good sturdy needle, a wool needle with some embroidery thread in it. You can use wax thread or something of a similar sort of thickness as that. A piece of paper that I've cut the same length as my signature, my ruler, a good sturdy book that's bigger than the project, and I'm also going to be incorporating these things. I've got a bit cut from an acetate sleeve that will make a nice pocket. I've got some pieces here that I've reverse printed. This is the Venice paper pack, and on these pages I've printed them out on my draft setting. So they've come out really faintly, but I've just lost that white paper, which is what I wanted. And I've also got this black sheet of card that I've cut slightly shorter than my signature. I've scalloped down one edge, and I'm going to leave this edge deliberately long. Okay, we can make, I was also thinking of incorporating these envelopes to make pockets out of those. And I was looking at putting this paper bag in somehow, but when I was fiddling about, I had a fantastic idea of something I could make from this paper bag. So I'm going to use that in a spread instead. Plus, I didn't want to go too thick and too heavy with the binding and put too much strain on these pieces of paper and risk the thread tearing through them as it was in use. So I'll put these things to one side. And a quick word about how I made my signature. I've randomly printed out 6 pages that I like from the Masquerade paper pack, and I've reverse printed those with pages from the Venice paper pack, and I've flipped some of these pages. So I've got some double page spreads that are quite neutral from the Venice pack, and I've got some double page spreads that are more lively from the Masquerade pack. And I haven't put too much thought into this. I wanted to be free with my creativity and challenge myself as well when it comes to doing the spreads. My only concession really is that I wanted this to be the centre spread because I want it in all its glory, and I wanted this to be the front for no other reason than I think it looks nice like that. And I always, even though I've got the option to print borderless, I always choose not to. I always print with a margin and I trim down afterwards. And my reasons for that are several fold. One of them is that it uses a lot of ink. The ink spits out over the edge of the pages when you're printing borderless, and that collects in a waste ink tank. Now for me, I find them hard to get hold of. They're an expensive component that I can't empty, clean and put back in because there's a chip in there. So I'm throwing away a big piece of plastic every time. And I don't like doing that. But also, and importantly, if I trim down, it gives me a bit of margin around my paper size. Now I'm in the UK, so I use A4. If you're in the US, obviously you'll be using letter size, but the same thing applies. The kits come in both letter and A4 size. So I've got a nice margin there. So I've got options if I want to make a cover for my signature. So there we go. Right, I'm going to fold these in half all together. Things sit nicer if you can do them all together. Every page has a slightly different fold in it when you're using a pack of paper like this. And folding them individually makes it a little bit difficult for them to sit nicely together. So I'll just fold that down there like that. And now I'm going to open it up and have a look where I want these things to sit. I want this piece of card to go on this page, and I want it to sit shy of him so I can still see him through it. I really like that image and I don't want to lose it in that spread. So I'm going to go ahead now, line this up and fold this piece over. I'm going to leave this piece long for later. I want to incorporate these papers as a little booklet within a spread, and again I think I'm going to go off centre with it, so I'm going to do it this way round because I want this to show up on the right hand spread there. And I'm going to do this one narrower. I'll line them all up first so that my finished booklet will look like this on one side and will look like that on the other side. So I'll decide where I want that to be. Yes, I'm going to put that here. So I've got this nice double page spread that's really all about like writing and drawing and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and pop this in, so line it up so it's straight and then fold it over. So it's got this softer fold to it. It's not a sharp fold and it just fits really flush with everything in the spine. Let's go and have a look at what that looks like on the other side. There we are. That's what I wanted for that. And I've gone on another double page spread here that's fairly neutral, which is going to give me a lot of scope when I come to actually use the finished journal. There, and I think I'm ready to begin stitching. No, I'm not. I've got this lovely thing that I wanted to pop in, and I might put that in. Yes, I'm going to go in here with this one. No real reasons for it at all. Pop all those together and fold this over. And I haven't concerned myself as to whether this is square or not. It doesn't matter if I've got more going on one side than the other. So we'll go with that. Fold this in half now, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to take my book, open my book sort of in the middle-ish. You can see this has been used for this before. And place my signature down and open it out. Now then, to make sure I get everything nice and flush and tight together, I'm going to press down with my ruler in the centre, take my pegs and peg this down quite close to the spine. There we are. Now I know that that's going to sit nicely, and stay still for me while I'm doing the stitching. Now you can either do this by eye, which I tend to do, but I wanted to show you this technique of measuring off the holes that you're going to punch through here for the individual stitches. So I've got a piece of paper I've cut as long as my project. I'm going to fold it in half. I'll do that down here. So that will then lay neatly. Now you can either go in with a ruler and a pen and mark off where you want those stitches, or you can do it by folding the paper. So I'm going to trim a little bit off because I don't want my stitches to go to the top, right to the top and right to the bottom. So I'll be looking at something more like this. And then I'm going to fold this in half and in half again. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches that I'm going to be making. So I can now mark these off. So I can now begin and make my first hole with my brad awl. Pick that through, place that down there, make my second hole, and keep going until I get to the end. There we are, nice and simple. And I go in with my thread and my needle, pop my end under this peg here to keep it out of the way. I'm giving myself a little tail so I can tie it off in the end. And I'm going to go in through my first hole, back up through my second hole, down through my third, up through my fourth, down through my fifth, and then I'm going to come back up backwards. You can see and I'm filling in the gaps in the thread there. Now I want to tie this off at the back so that I haven't got anything showing in the centre spread. Now normally when you're bookbinding you'd make these really tight, but because we're going to be asking a lot of the pages because they're going to have other things stuffed in them, I'm just going to make sure there's a little bit of play there. And then I can turn this over and make a knot in the back like this, and I'll repeat that. There. And now I'm safe to bring this piece through the hole. So I'll rethread. Take this through. And I've got a little bit of play there. You see it's not completely tight, which is what I want for this junk journal. So I just tie this off. There we are. I'm now safe to remove my pegs. And here is my finished signature. I've got plain pages there. My paper bag I think is going to go there. I've got this little acetate pocket. My little, I think these are called Dutch doors, I'm not sure. I've got my piece of card. Another simple spread and my glorious double page centre spread there. There we are, and this isn't too thick. I've got lots of things I'm going to play with in here to add to these pages. I'm really looking forward to getting on the go with these spreads and decorating these now. There we are. That's it. But I'm going to leave this like here, and this will be taken care of when I come to do my double page spreads.